Hi, Dr. Mark Stetter. Welcome to Vet Inspo Talks. I'm excited to have you, the Dean of the UC Davis Vet School, on the show today, where we'll dive in how to obtain animal-related opportunities, what life is like as a dean, and some tips and tricks to getting involved with the veterinary career. So welcome.
Thanks very much. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Do you mind introducing yourself for us?
Sure. So Mark Stetter, I historically was a zoo and wildlife veterinarian as far as my early 20-some years in career. I've been here at UC Davis for about 2.5 years. Before that, I was a professor and dean at Colorado State, and then got to hang out at Walt Disney World for about 15 years as their director of animal operations when we opened the Animal Kingdom theme park.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. So you've kind of been all over the place, basically.
We're migrating west.
Yes.
And my wife hopes that, as we go to the next phase, maybe we'll migrate west to Tahiti or Hawaii or something like that. So we'll see what the next stop is.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know.
Yeah. Thank you all. Awesome. Thank you for being here today. So when we're diving into how to obtain animal-related opportunities, how did you manage to secure your position as director of the animal operations at Disney? How was that like?
Well, I had studied zoo and wildlife medicine for many years, did my residency and stayed for a couple of years afterwards in New York City at the Bronx Zoo. And one of the really lovely things about that training program is that you actually live on the Bronx Zoo. And so that's
interesting.
500 acres in the middle of the Bronx with a wonderful animal collection. And they give you an apartment so that you can take care of the critters that might need care at night.
Yeah.
So we were there 5 years, loved it. And really enjoyed all the aspects of zoo and wildlife. So it could be terrestrial animals or marine mammals or fish or reptiles or whatever, and loved the diversity of cases. And after we'd been in New York about 5 years, they were opening Disney's Animal Kingdom, the theme park, and they were bringing in thousands of animals and hundreds of people to help with this new theme park. So they were kind enough to ask us to join the team, and that's how I ended up down in Florida.
Nice. Yeah, and how was that opportunity? How did you learn anything from it? Did you experience anything new that you haven't had in the zoo?
Sure. I mean, I think anytime you're part of something that is that big and brand new, it's always exciting. So
that's true.
We had people there from an animal perspective about a year to two ahead of time. So we had to bring the animals in through quarantine. They were coming in from all over the world. So I remember bringing a big troop of gorillas in from the Lincoln Park Zoo, and we chartered a plane and put them all in appropriate crates and caging on their way from Chicago to Florida. But we brought in hippos from Europe and from South America and animals from all over the place, and allowed them to acclimate and get used to each other, and also tested them through quarantine for diseases that they might bring, and then had to get them used to their new home and environment, and used to millions of people that were going to come by and say hello to them every day.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been there, you know that they have a safari ride where all the animals run free, and then they also have different exhibits around the Tree of Life or other areas where the animals. So it was a great experience from a relatively new, young zoo and wildlife veterinarian to work with different species, to work with a whole new set of people as far as outside of the traditional nonprofit zoo in a large corporate environment, and then just understanding how Disney's really good at taking education and fun and making it something that people want to come back and experience both as a family and from a conservation and an animal perspective. We love being able to tell people about how cool animals are, how important nature is, how important the environment is. So it was a really great tool to be able to do that.
Nice. That's an amazing opportunity for everyone who's listening to, if they want to get involved. And what advice would you offer pre-vet and vet students regarding stepping out of their comfort zones and trying something new?
So, great question. I mean, I am always a person that suggests, especially to try to get pre-vet experience and both so that it builds your application, you can be stronger, but also so that you can make sure this is something you want to do.
Yep.
I think, as you know, there's a lot of attraction in the public to say, I love animals, and wouldn't it be fun to be a veterinarian? But as you know, it's not always fun, right? And there's some very difficult things. And so whether that be spending time volunteering at a clinic, working with equine or livestock or small animal or research or whatever that might be, but understanding the real part of being a veterinarian so that you don't kind of go in with rose petal glasses and go, this is going to be wonderful every day.
Yeah.
And it's so competitive to get into veterinary school. So one of the big things people are looking at is, do you have the experience not only to be able to bring that to your time in veterinary school, but to prove that this is something you've thought about deeply,
right?
And that you understand that there are times you're going to have to euthanize an animal,
Yeah.
or that there are times you're going to do surgery on an animal, and if you're squeamish, that's going to be difficult. So I guess I always say, get as much experience as you can, and then be positively persistent. So I look at positively persistent as a way to say, if somebody says, no, we're not accepting volunteers, you say, is there something else I can do?
Right.
Will you be accepting volunteers next year? If I got some additional experience, would you have any openings? And so be positively persistent, not in the annoying persistent
Right.
space. And sometimes that can be different,
Yeah.
difficult, but you want to make sure that you're remembered as somebody who was really excited about the opportunity, really interested in animals and animal health, and going to be a great asset to the team, whether you're volunteering or getting paid, versus somebody who's like, they're being a pain.
Right. Yeah.
So if you can be positively persistent
I like
and get
that.
that experience, I think at least it's helped me out.
Yeah. That's exactly what I told my club members as well. Every single time they tell me, oh, I think I'm being kind of annoying to this person. They keep telling me no, but I really want to learn. And I always tell them, well, study some books, tell them that tell them that you want to be there, and then maybe they'll say yes, or just go to somewhere else. You never know.
Yep.
You just have to keep trying. I like that word.
Or what?
Positively persistent.
What could I do so that next time I come, this might be something that could work out? Or do you have other things that you might consider I should think about that I haven't thought about yet?
Yeah. It's a great way to put it. And then, what's life being as a dean? How has that been?
It's interesting whether that be my kids at home or other people. People often are like, what exactly do you do?
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say a little bit of everything, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time really thinking about the future of the school, thinking about, where is the profession going, and how can we make sure that our students are ready to jump into the profession? What are the things that we need to do to help people who come visit us from a client perspective? So, we see 50,000 animals every year who come in for everything from a regular puppy checkup to I've got a broken bone to I've got cancer. So we spend a lot of time making sure our hospital can see all of those animals, help the students get a great experience so they can go be great veterinarians. And then, discovery is a big part of how we want to make the world a better place, right? So you're involved with research.
Right.
You know that our faculty are passionate about discovering new causes of diseases, new diagnostics, new ways to treat things. And so when I think about, what do I need to do? I need to make sure that we create a place that faculty can be successful,
Right.
where students want to come here and then leave excited that they had a wonderful experience and that they're going to go change the world, and that if you bring an animal to see us, that we've been able to help. And as you know, it's not only helping the animal, but helping the owners.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of complexity to that. And the last thing is, to do all of those things, we need a lot of resources. We need wonderful buildings, we need research equipment, and we need student scholarships, and we need ways to do things like never before. So some of that is fundraising, some of that is going to the governor and senators and elected officials and say, we have the #1 program in the world.
Yeah.
Let me tell you more about it, and let me tell you how you can help us make sure that we have that level of excellence into the future.
That's great advice. Yeah, especially like for people who want to come into Davis, they know that this school is wanting to be the best, and helping not only, like you said, the patients but the owners as well. That's also really important. Yeah.
So that's how I spend most of my time.
Busy. And as dean, what new insights have you gained about the veterinary profession?
There's a variety of things that in higher education and as dean that I've been exposed to that is much different than zoo and wildlife, right?
Okay,
So I spent a lot of time when I was in that space really thinking about endangered species, saving the environment, understanding how to, teach the public about how important nature is, and in preserving it is critical to our future. Still very passionate about that, but most of my day-to-day from a higher education is understanding where the total veterinary profession is,
Right.
and how we can, be a strong partner in making animal health and human health better through the work that we do here. So right now our big issues, as you probably are aware, is there's not enough veterinarians.
Yep.
So, it breaks my heart, and it's really unfortunate when we have people that have animals that need care. They have to wait too long, or they don't have anybody within driving distance.
Right. Yep.
So we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we have a greater number of veterinarians leave and go out in the workplace. The great news is there are several new veterinary schools planned in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I heard.
But we are worried as far as how do we have enough veterinarians to be faculty members there, right? So right now, ourselves, who have a phenomenal program and don't struggle as much as other programs to get top faculty in, still are worried if we've got 34 veterinary schools in North America,
Yeah.
and there's not enough faculty to work in those schools. If we add another 10, that can be a real
can
problem.
happen?
So
Right.
so we're really spending a lot of time. How do we increase the number of residencies that we have so we can have more specialists
Yeah.
and more faculty? How can we grow our research programs? So as you know, the DVM PhD program is often a great pipeline for new faculty members here or across the world.
That's
How
true.
can we grow that? So when we think about what's next and where we're going, it's about the day-to-day stuff, teaching students now and in discoveries and seeing our clients, but it's around what does society need in the next 10 years and
Yeah.
helping address that.
Thinking about the future is really important as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, what's it called? And then what would you tell your younger self if you can go back in time, and why? I always ask all my speakers this question, and it's so valuable to see what they say. So yeah, I want to hear what you think.
I don't know if I would have changed much from the last 30 plus years that I'm doing the veterinary medicine thing. What I would say to, a younger version who might be coming up is, I was so very interested in the clinical aspects of veterinary medicine,
Okay.
that I probably didn't spend enough time thinking about some of the research aspects. And I think,
interesting. Yeah.
you've mentioned in your undergraduate journey that you've spent a lot of time working in research labs,
Right.
and how valuable that's been. And most of my time in that space was really getting clinical experience during my summers, working at different places so that I would be more competitive to get in and work at a zoo, which worked out great. But there's a lot of great knowledge that needs to be acquired in our world that you need a research background in. And I don't think I would ever
That's
have
true.
the fortitude to do, as you've suggested, the DVM PhD thing. But I think if I was to go back in time, I would probably spend a little bit more time building a more solid research portfolio
Oh, okay.
that would have allowed me to maybe be more competitive with grants or
Yes,
writing some
that's-
of those kind of proposals.
Yeah, that helps a lot. That's true. Yeah. And do you think that the research career path could have also helped you in veterinary medicine as well, like combining both of those together?
Yeah, the zoo and wildlife space is
Right.
unique in the sense that I've probably published, between peer-reviewed and what's in book chapters and what's been presented at scientific conferences, 100 plus different things.
Yeah.
But that's a lot different when you're publishing about a new thing in zoo and wildlife medicine. It's not at that level of research that you think about an NIH research grant, right? So, so the level of complexity that you need to put in from a hypothesis-driven research grant that is going up for peer review against a huge number of competitors to be able to get those
Yeah.
kind of funding
Yeah.
is a different level than me, who may have experienced an outbreak of tuberculosis in rhinoceros, and it was
Yeah.
important for us to publish what we learned and for the world to learn about that. But that's that scholarly activity and that publication important, but not at the same level of a hypothesis-driven research grant that requires years to accomplish, to be able to put in the proposal and then to do the studies.
That makes sense.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. That makes sense. And then what tips and tricks would you give a pre-vet or vet student right now?
So, in addition to the positive persistence
Yes.
that we talked about, I think is, explore a bunch of different areas in veterinary medicine. You know that one of the things I love about veterinary medicine is you can do anything, right?
Oh, yeah,
So,
you
I've
can.
done,
Yeah.
small animal, I've done exotics, I've done zoo and wildlife, I've gone to the aquariums and worked. Right now, I'm able to experience some shelter medicine and access to care things, all of which are great and why I love vet med because I can work on a snake 1 minute
Yeah.
and then work on dogs and cats or go work in Africa with elephants. And so I love that. And I think for anybody who's thinking about veterinary medicine, if you work at a small animal clinic, great, love that, embrace it, but also think about maybe I'm going to go work in livestock or I'm going to
Yeah.
work in lab
You never
animal, I'm going
know.
to work in equine, I'm going to work in zoo wildlife. Um, Not only do you get to work with different animals, but lots of different types of people, and I think that always
Yes.
helps as you think about the career journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then some other career paths could also change your mindset. Maybe you
Yep.
wanna, you always were in the small animal career path, and then you tried something with livestock, and then
Yep.
maybe you fall in love with livestock and the people, like you said. It's not only the animals that you're treating; you're also gonna be able to help the people as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you probably know, we ask our students when they come in their first day, when they're applying to veterinary school, we ask them what do they think they want to do.
Yep.
And the vast majority of students will change along their journey of those 4 years in veterinary school because they'll be inspired about something they see. They didn't realize there's a career in aquatic animal medicine and they can go do aquaculture, or I didn't know I was going to love small ruminants and all I'm going to do is
There you
sheep and
go.
goats now.
Yeah.
So I would say as much as you can explore those opportunities before you have to get out and get the real job, because once you start the real job thing, you can switch, and I've done several times, but it's a little bit harder.
Right. And what do you think about specialties? Do you think they are 100% relative to what you're passionate about if you want to do that for the future? Or do you think as a GP is good enough?
I think GP is always good enough, and it
Right.
really depends on your interests and also where you are in your life journey, right?
That's also true. Yeah.
Let's face it, if you are at a place, and most of our graduates, leave veterinary school in their late 20s and maybe even in their 30s, and that may be, enough school, right? I want to settle down and have a family. I'd like a
Yeah.
real paycheck coming in. I'm excited about going out and practicing veterinary medicine. I don't need to go on and do specialty training, which is certainly the case for the vast majority of
Right.
people.
Right.
Wonderful, and one should never feel that is not enough because that is plenty. But then there are people that are like, get bitten by the bug that they want to learn everything about ophthalmology,
Right.
everything about cancer, or I just want to go do whatever species. So I have a lot of people that say, hey, I just want to do birds. Great.
Yeah.
And sometimes that requires board certification and additional training, and sometimes it doesn't. The great thing about veterinary medicine is you don't have to, follow any specific rules as it relates. Human medicine, if you were going to go do surgery, you need to go do a residency and become a
Yes, you
surgeon.
do.
In our world in veterinary medicine, I can be a small animal vet, a livestock vet, an equine vet,
Yeah.
and do surgery. And you're trained and you're competent and you're able to go. Now, if you want to do the next level and,
Right.
I'm going to be
Right.
putting a lot of orthopedic plates on, or I'm going to do complicated surgeries, doing that specialization then might be required.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yep.
That makes sense. Well, thank you so much for being on Vet Inspo Talks
That's
today.
it?
That's it.
Don't I get to ask you anything?
Oh, go for it. I'm putting you on
Favorite
the
animal
spot.
story?
Favorite animal story?
Yes.
Oof.
Come on.
Favorite animal story. Could it be just me working at a vet, or
It
does
can.
It can.
Yes.
Okay. So I would say, oh, this is cute. So my best friend of when we were born, 20 plus years, she had a little dog that she grew up with.
Yep.
And this dog I've known for years.
Name?
Um,
Uh-oh. You've known for years and you don't know the name?
Bugsy.
Okay.
And And he was the cutest dog ever. And then one day I was in the clinic where I used to work at, and Bugsy was there for surgery.
Got it.
And I said, oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen Bugsy in a really long time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, who was there? My mentor, the surgeon who walked into my life. And she was doing surgery on Bugsy that day. And I said, wait, that is so cool. Like, I want to do surgery. How can I go in that surgery to watch Bugsy? And that's what happened. Life, she took me under her wing, and now she's my lifelong mentor.
Awesome.
So that was Bugsy's
How's Bugsy
story.
now?
He's good.
Okay. Most importantly, Bugsy's okay.
Bugsy's okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it was crazy, the journey, because I haven't seen Bugsy in a couple of months. And then all of a sudden I was doing my first ever, TPLO big surgery for the first time with Bugsy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
My lab, Sadie, just had to have her TPLO knee surgery just about 6 months ago. So I
how's the
could
recovery
not,
process?
I could not have done that surgery. Thank goodness we have wonderful surgeons at our place to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But she's doing great. So
nice.
She's a 14-year-old lab who, when she blew out her knee, was a big problem. So we're excited she's on the mend.
She's good. She's good. She'll survive.
And congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Walking
yes.
and getting a degree.
Yep. Very close. Very soon. Very soon.
And we're sending good thoughts for your future in veterinary medicine.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show again. Yeah.
My pleasure.